What up, stackers? Welcome back to the sandbox. Let's jump into it. But first, the reason behind all the hairs in the videos. This is the culprit. Before I get into if I'm buying the dip, two things. First, in geopolitical news, update in the currency war out of China. Shots fired. Going for the world reserve currency. Number two, I was having a long chat with AI sorting all this mess out, and I came across something interesting. I was researching why the spot price in China is much higher than in the United States, and I was also wondering about arbitrage. Did the new, restrictions that China implemented January 1st, did that stop arbitrage or did it entice it? And something I came across was, and I've never heard this before anywhere, I know I would have remembered it, but the Shanghai metals exchange, they only deal in industrial bars that are 4 nines fine. And that the London Metals Exchange and the COMEX, they deal in bars that are 3 nines fine. And so if you want to trade metals on the Shanghai exchange, your industrial bars have to be 4 nines fine. That is their standard. And then I got into like refinery and China and all that stuff, but that's going down a rabbit hole. But that's a big difference, 3 nines fine and 4 nines fine. So I had to say, I had looked up what industries use 4 nines or prefer to use 4 nines. And the number one thing that popped up was like AI, circuit conductors, quantum computing. Like if you want something that, is high speed and fast, reliable, you could transmit a lot of data quickly. Nanotechnology in the medical field, little miniature robots and things. And what else was there? There was one more cool one. But anyway, I know what it was, like military uses, like nuclear triggers and whatever. And also, first thing that pops in my head, what's that do for constitutional? But if you guys want me to do a video on the difference between 3 nines fine and 4 nines fine and report what I'm finding out, hit that like button, subscribe, leave a comment. All right. Currently, at the making of this video, silver is at $78.97. And the question is, am I buying the dip? Bullion dealers, people associated with bullion dealers, YouTube influencers are telling me this is the greatest gift there is. What a great opportunity it is. This is a good thing. Tell you the truth, makes me feel like I want to puke. We were hit with a nuclear bomb. Wealth went from Main Street to Wall Street. It's a crime scene, blood in the streets. For some who was able to take advantage, it is a good thing. But for many others, they were severely hurt. People, like a commenter from my last video, said at the top he put his mother's money into silver to help protect it. Overnight, he's down tens of thousands, or I should say his mother is. They purchased 500 ounces. Looking at the charts, not knowing it was a silver chart, I would think I was looking at a meme coin. People are saying this was just a little dip. I mean, to me, this looks like a blow-off top. So today, I'm asking the question, was this a blow-off top? Or was this a move, a dip in a bigger bull market? Right now, I can see the case for both, and we won't really know for until the next few months and the dust settles and the muddied waters become clear. So what happened? Was it a coordinated attack on the bond market by the BRICS countries? Was it JP Morgan manipulating the markets? Oh, while all else fails, let's blame it on Donald Trump. So what happened? I don't know. I kind of just stick to what I'm doing. I'm a much simpler guy. When I look at this chart here, what I see is feeding time. I see a gazelle, or to put it into my silver tree analogy, I see a big, ripe, juicy apple ready for the plucking. And human nature is someone's going to come along and take a bite out of it. I see it as harvest time. So this wasn't your ordinary dip. This is more like a blow off top or a crash. We haven't seen a day like this in 40 years, which happened to be the 1980 blow off top. And we have to examine if this is just a dip in the continuation of a bigger bear market. And the question is, has silver taking a big 40% hit like this, and has it ever recovered and went on to reach higher highs? So I look back at silver's history, and twice in its history it has took a dip this severe and went on to make higher highs. Both times it was interesting that it was during a recession or a depression in the economy. The recession/depression slowed down the uptrend, kind of delayed it a little bit. And then once through the recession, the metals went on to new higher highs. I believe there was 5 other times that we could look at, and those 5 times it resulted in a blow off top. Even if this is a continuation in a bigger bull market, the first blow off top would result in us coming down and then going sideways for a while, which could be a year to 3 years. And then around 2030, boom, we shoot up and shoot past 150 again, shoot past 150 and, go for the real blow off top. So I'm figuring it's going to take some time to recover, and we're going to go sideways until we can build up some more momentum. But one thing I just want to just put out there and make people aware, this is what I'm looking at, this chart right here. And this is a kind of a psychology chart, a chart of the markets. And if you look over to the right, I'll try and put arrows in this, but in case not, if you look over to the right, you see we have the dip, and then it shoots right back up. Now, a lot of times when you have a blow off top, you'll have a quick rebound. Why? Because everyone's buy the dip. This is a great opportunity. Silver will never be at this price again. So a lot of people jump in, buy the dip, and it shoots back up, and it usually shoots up around 90% of the all-time high, and then it gets smacked down again. So my goal was to sell a certain percent of my silver, and I'm looking to sell into the relief rally. So if people are buying the dip, I'm going to be selling the rip, and I believe that there will be a lot of people like me out there. Like I said, I'm an investor first, stacker second. I'm addicted to stacking. It's in the blood now. I'm basically like snail stacking and collecting, but I've stopped investing heavily in the silver. I'm more like collecting silver and buying pieces here and there. I'm not investing in the silver at this point. I'm trying to let the dust settle. So my measly 10 ounces ain't going to affect anything, but I'll be looking to dump on you. I read a lot of the Wall Street traders, a lot of the successful one. I read their books, and there's a lot of them say, I made my money selling early. First rule in investment, protect your capital. Take back your initial investment. So when I'm able to sell this last 10 ounces, I'll pretty much have recouped about 90% of my initial investment. And at the price that I was able to buy silver, I'm comfortable with silver. If it goes down, I'll start worrying around $35. But the silver that I have left is a free position. I got my initial capital out, and I'm going to put that to work elsewhere. So I'm on the chart. I'm looking to see if we have a relief rally. People buying the dip, we rip back up. If we break 100, like I'm selling around 100, trying to sell before 106. I think we'll hit like around 100, and then we'll get knocked back down again. And like I said, if I'm wrong, I still got a nice little pile of silver, for the moon. I got a moon bag. So like I say, no one should listen to me. I have no pedigree or any successes. Like I say, I'm the warning, not the example. And what I'm running here is a financial experiment. I'm following the Wyckoff type method. That is part of my, foundational philosophy. Wyckoff was a successful trader back in like the 20s, the 30s. He was successful, rich, went up against guys like J.P. Morgan, and he got tired of seeing the public being fleeced. And so he began writing in the newspaper articles and stuff, and he was really good at the psychological part of trading, and he began to reveal to the public how they've been being fleeced by these big institutions over and over, and how these cycles repeat themselves. And it's called the Wyckoff method, and many traders today use the Wyckoff method. And when you see like the cup and handle, that there's going to be an explosion. So after they know that the cup and handle is secure, they usually jump in, and then they jump right back out before a blow off top. So these traders look for certain signs and in them charts and everything, and so they're in, they're out, and they're like heavy hitters. They kind of like follow the whales around, and when the whales have their feeding frenzy, they pick up the scraps. So long story short, Wyckoff was a successful trader that felt bad for the public always taking the L, and tried educating them. He wrote a book. I think it's Tales of the Tape. I just ordered it. When I first started trading, like I started learning about charts, and never read from Wyckoff himself. I've always followed like the Wyckoff method through other traders, more modern traders, and I kind of implement the philosophy in what I do. So this is just a financial experiment that I'm trying. This is my first go around. So I've chosen to follow like the Wyckoff method, and so I'm sticking to my plan. And this psychological chart here, this is kind of like Wyckoff's meme, So some people evolved and, kind of put what he was expressing into this chart and deals with the psychology, people's emotions, the institutions manipulating things. So I have no idea how this is going to turn out. So I'm just experimenting. I'm just documenting this. I want to look back on this and see, hey, was I on to something, or was it, look back at this and be like, what the hell was I thinking? So, if you guys want to join the ride, hey, hit like, subscribe, see if it works out or not. Hindsight is 2020. So I want to look back a year from now and see if I'm, making the right decisions, if I'm thinking correctly. I want to see what happens. Like, do we rebound and then dip and, go sideways for a year, 2, 3 years, and then shoot back up? Or is this the end? So it'll be interesting to look back a year from now. I hopefully someone in my family will come across, some of these videos and they can learn something. I'm trying to crawl my way out of poverty, and so this is the strategy and the plan that I'm using. I'm looking at, hey, we could be walking into a trap. Like I said, all I know is I know nothing at all, but this is the strategy I'm planning on doing. I'm just gonna kind of be still for a while, kind of let the dust settle, and so I'm just throwing out some food for thought, something to think about. Now, something I found interesting was this video by Financially Aware. I'm going to leave a link in this video in the pinned comment. What Financially Aware did was he took clips from Mike Maloney back 12 years ago. Financially Aware bought at the top during 2011 and has been trapped in silver ever since, and is determined not to end up that way again. So he put together a couple clips of like Mike Maloney. I'm sure everyone in silver has kind of heard that name or know of him. But in 2011, it shows, him, talking about silver on the way up. And then when silver peaked, on the way down, they were saying buy the dip. And, everything else that you're going to hear right now. So it's an interesting watch to see, how it all works, how it played out last time. So, like I said, I'm going to leave the link. I mean, it's definitely worth the time to sit there and watch. I think everyone will get a little something out of it. And like I said, I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. I just concentrate on myself. I really don't care what anyone else does, but I like them to be well informed and just know all the options. Just be careful out in those streets. One thing I like to do is just review the people I'm listening to and being influenced by. I go back like a month or so and watch some of their old videos and stuff. And like I said, the pinned link in the comments, check out that video. It's very informative, and I think everyone should definitely check it out and watch it. Well, I'll end it here. Everyone, keep stacking, keep learning. This is the Philly Stacker, and I'm out.